Thailand, Cambodia to resolve border dispute. After 2 months, 40 witnesses, Maradona trial scrapped. Good afternoon and Salam Malaysia Madani. I'm Mohanapriya and this is World Today. The Thai and Cambodian armies have agreed to withdraw troops from a disputed area along the Thai-Cambodia border where a brief clash had occurred a day earlier. In a statement, the Royal Thai Army RTA stated that the two countries had agreed to the Joint Boundary Committee, a government-level mechanism to expedite the resolution of the issue. The Joint Committee meeting is expected to reach a conclusion within 2 weeks. The RTA also stated that both parties also agreed to utilize the Regional Border Committee to address unresolved concerns and further enhance the efficiency of the Joint Boundary Committee mechanism. On Wednesday, Thai and Cambodian troops engaged in a brief gunfight in Thailand's northeastern Ubon Ratchathani province and Cambodia's northern Phra Vihear province. One Cambodian soldier was killed. Meanwhile, media reported that Thai Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra spoke with her Cambodian counterpart Hun Manet on steps to de-escalate tensions at the border. Israel's government has approved 22 new Jewish settlements in the occupied West Bank, a move that could deepen divisions with some allies who have threatened sanctions over such moves. The Israeli finance minister said the settlements would be in the northern West Bank without specifying where. Israeli media cited the Defense Ministry as saying that among the new settlements, existing outposts would be legalized and new settlements would also be built. The Western-backed Palestinian Authority, which exercises limited rule in the West Bank, and the largely Gaza-based group Hamas condemned the Israeli decision. After the announcement, B'Tselem, a leading Israeli human rights organization, accused the right-wing government of advancing Jewish supremacy through the theft of Palestinian land and the ethnic cleansing of the West Bank. It also criticized the international community for enabling Israel's crimes. The decision was praised by Yisrael Gantz, chairman of the Yesha Council, which represents Jewish settlements and has close ties with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Gantz said the move countered the Palestinian Authority's bid to establish a state. Israeli forces were carrying out a forced evacuation of patients and medical staff from Al-Awda Hospital on Thursday. This is the only hospital which was still operating in the northern Gaza Strip. The hospital earlier in the day said there were still 97 people inside the hospital, including 13 patients and injured individuals and 84 medical staff members. The UN humanitarian agency OCHA said efforts were ongoing to evacuate patients and medical staff from the hospital, adding that the facility is currently overwhelmed with injuries and critically low on supplies. It said ongoing hostilities over the past 2 weeks have damaged the hospital, disrupted access and created panic, deterring people from seeking care. Meanwhile, the Zionist jets continued to pound areas of Gaza, killing at least 45 people, including 23 people in a strike that hit several houses in the Burej camp in central Gaza Strip. The center, run by a US-backed organization, is part of a new plan for distributing aid in Gaza that Israel says is meant to keep supplies out of the hands of Hamas. Meanwhile, the Israeli military has launched several air raids across South Lebanon as it intensifies its attacks in the country in the latest violation of a ceasefire agreement. Lebanon's health ministry said an Israeli enemy strike hit a forested area in Nabatieh al-Fawqa, killing one man, while Israeli gunfire on the border town of Kfar Kila killed another. The Israeli army said it hit several military sites throughout Lebanon belonging to Hezbollah, accusing the group of trying to re-establish its weaponry there. Israel has continued to bomb Lebanon despite the November truce that sought to halt more than a year of hostilities with Hezbollah. Under the deal, only UN peacekeepers and the Lebanese army are meant to operate in the south. Lebanon has urged the international community to pressure Israel to halt its attacks and withdraw its forces. In Yemen, officials at Sana'a International Airport said Israeli strikes had stranded a big part of the population. Now, the strike on Wednesday had completely destroyed the last of the civilian planes that Yemeni Airways was operating from the airport. The airport is the largest in Yemen and came back into service last week after temporary repairs and runway restoration following previous Israeli strikes. It was mainly being used by UN aircraft and the plane destroyed in the latest Israeli strikes. 3 other Yemeni Airways planes were destroyed in an attack earlier this month.
استهداف المطار واستهداف آخر طائرة كانت الأمل الوحيد لنقل المرضى والمسافرين والحجاج. يعني أن أصبحت ما يقارب من 70% من سكان الجمهورية اليمنية مقيدين وغير قادرين على السفر من هذا المطار. إغلاق المطار معناه أن هناك العديد من المرضى الذين كانوا ينتظرون هذه الرحلة وكانوا ينتظرون السفر من مطار صنعاء لن يستطيعوا السفر، وبالتالي سيكون هناك موت بطيء للعديد من المرضى الذين لن يتمكنوا من السفر للعلاج في الخارج.
Elsewhere, the United States told the United Nations Security Council that its proposal for a ceasefire in Ukraine was Russia's best possible outcome, and President Vladimir Putin should take the deal. Acting Deputy U.S. Ambassador John Kelly warned that if Russia continued the war, the U.S. could impose further sanctions.
President Putin should take the deal. The alternative, continuing to wage the war, would not be in anyone's interest, including Russia's. Doing so would continue to damage Russia's economy, military resources, national security, and international reputation. Additional sanctions on Russia are still on the table.
The details of Washington's latest peace proposal for the 3-year-old conflict in Ukraine have not been publicized, but the US and European countries have urged an immediate 30-day unconditional ceasefire. Russia's UN ambassador Vasily Nebenzia said Moscow intended to continue serious direct negotiations with Ukraine. Russia has suggested a second round of direct talks take place on Monday in Istanbul.
И никакие новые антироссийские санкции, поставки оружия Украине и другие враждебные по отношению к России шаги не предотвратят неизбежное военное поражение режима Зеленского. Выбор сейчас за Украиной. Мир по итогам переговоров или неминуемое поражение на поле боя с иными.
Ukraine's Deputy UN Ambassador Kristina Hayoshin, meanwhile, said Russia was not signaling any genuine intention to stop its war and urged countries to impose stronger sanctions on Moscow. The Trump administration will seek to enact tariffs through other means if it ultimately loses the court rights over its trade policy. White House trade advisor Peter Navarro said U.S. tariffs would remain in place for now following a court stay, and that the administration is still in talks with other countries to continue trade negotiations.
The tariffs remain in place. The court told us, they didn't all but tell us, they told us, go do it another way. So you can assume that even if we lose, we will do it another way. And I can assure the American people that the Trump tariff agenda is alive, well, healthy, and will be implemented to protect you, to save your jobs and your factories, and to stop shipping foreign wealth, our wealth into foreign hands.
So you are working on a
A U.S. appeals court reinstated President Donald Trump's sweeping tariffs on Thursday, leaving Wall Street with no clear direction a day after most of the tariffs were blocked by a trade court, a move that had given markets a brief boost. Chaotic U.S. trade policy has sent global markets on a roller coaster in recent months. Equity markets were rattled by Trump's 2nd April Liberation Day tariff announcements, which have since been repeatedly delayed and adjusted. An Argentine court has nullified the trial of late football legend Diego Maradona's medical team and ordered a new one. This after a judge stepped down over her role in a documentary about the case. Judge Maximiliano Savarino said the conduct of his colleague, Giulietta McIntyre, had caused prejudice to the proceedings, which started in March and had already heard more than 40 witnesses. A new trial will be held with a different panel of judges. McIntyre recused herself on Tuesday after it emerged that she had been interviewed for a mini-series about the case, potentially breaking a string of ethics rules. Maradona died in 2020, aged 60, while recovering from brain surgery. His 7-person medical team is on trial over the conditions of his home convalescence after major surgery, described by prosecutors as grossly negligent. Still to come, Canada wildfires prompt provincial state of emergency. Stay with us. Welcome back. Saskatchewan has declared a wildfire state of emergency as the zone faces a critical situation with over 200 wildfires this spring. Satellite images from Tuesday showed the wildfires and the massive plumes of smoke rising over the area. Premier Scott Moe emphasized the gravity of the situation, noting that 17 wildfires are active and they have to evacuate about 15 communities.
We do need some rainfall. We need that sooner rather than later. And in light of that not being in the forecast, we most certainly are putting in place every measure possible to prepare our province, prepare our communities, and prepare those that live in our northern communities that are threatened by these wildfires in the days ahead.
Moe warned of deteriorating weather conditions and highlighted the collaboration with Manitoba to bolster resources. Manitoba, too, declared a state of emergency and urged thousands of people in northern and eastern parts of the province to evacuate on Wednesday as wildfires spread in central and western Canada. Demonstrations erupted across Bolivia as farmers, truck drivers and supporters of former President Evo Morales took to the streets to protest the country's worsening economic crisis. In Cochabamba, farmers marched through the streets banging pots and pans to express their frustration over rising prices of essential goods.
Cada día en el mercado está subiendo, no sabemos a cuánto va a llegar. Pedimos a las autoridades, tanto municipales y la gobernación, se pueden regular en el tema de especulación de precios y el agro. Tanto el gobierno central, el gobierno municipal, no están haciendo su trabajo.
In El Alto, protesters set up burning barricades while truck drivers blocked major thoroughfares with their vehicles, bringing transportation to a standstill.
Está caro, la carne, ¿cuánto está el azúcar, el fideo? ¿Cuánto está, hermanos? Por eso, hermanos, que se anuncie este gobierno incapaz, que se anuncie, que se vaya ese gobierno, no lo queremos.
In La Paz, supporters of former President Evo Morales joined the demonstrations demanding his acceptance as a presidential candidate despite a ban from the Electoral Tribunal. The protests come amid a severe dollar and fuel shortage that has plagued Bolivia since early 2023, coinciding with declining natural gas export revenues and dwindling international reserves. UK police have charged a 53-year-old man with 7 offences for allegedly ramming a car into crowds celebrating Liverpool's Premier League title earlier this week. Paul Doyle faces counts including dangerous driving and causing grievous bodily harm with intent during Monday's incident at the northwestern English city. Doyle has been remanded in custody and will appear before Liverpool Magistrates Court on Friday. A total of 79 people aged between 9 and 78 were injured when a vehicle rammed into Liverpool supporters as they celebrated the club's record equaling 20th English top-flight title. There were no fatalities reported. 7 people remained in hospital as of Thursday. Doyle, from a Liverpool suburb, was arrested on Monday on suspicion of attempted murder, driving under the influence of drugs, and dangerous driving. A South African court on Thursday sentenced a woman to life in prison for kidnapping and selling her 6-year-old daughter in a case that horrified the country. The child went missing in February last year from her home in Saldanha Bay, a fishing town 135 kilometers north of Cape Town, and has never been found. Her mother, Raquel Kelly Smith, was found guilty of kidnapping and selling the young girl, reportedly for $1,100. The judge ruled that Smith and her 2 co-accused, a boyfriend and a mutual friend, also be jailed for life for human trafficking. Hundreds of teachers blocked Reforma Avenue, one of Mexico City's main thoroughfares, as part of ongoing protests demanding improvements to their working conditions and pension system. The teachers are demanding the repeal of a 2007 law that worsened their retirement conditions by increasing the legal retirement age to 65 for men and 62 for women. Protesters are also demanding a return to a solidarity-based pension system. Meanwhile, in Argentina, resident doctors in Buenos Aires protested to demand better wages and working conditions. Thousands of protesters walked through the city, headed towards the health ministry, where police guarded the nearby streets. These are the latest in a series of protests led by medical workers demanding better conditions after budget cuts that began last year under the government of President Javier Milei. Protesters gathered at Folly Square near the Manhattan Federal Courthouse, where Yoon Seo-chung, a Korean-American Columbia University student facing deportation after participating in pro-Palestinian demonstrations. Chung, 21, a legal U.S. resident since childhood, sued the Trump administration in March to stop efforts to revoke her residency. A judge has temporarily barred immigration authorities from detaining her while the case proceeds. Demonstrators held signs and accused the government of silencing dissent. Coming up in sports, Harimau Malaya fight back to hold better-ranked Cape Verde. Stay tuned. Malaysia were in a class of their own when they drew 1-1 against higher-ranked Cape Verde in a Tier 1 international football friendly at the Kuala Lumpur Football Stadium in Cheras last night. Malaysia will once again face Cape Verde in a friendly match behind closed doors at the National Stadium in Bukit Jalil on the 3rd of June. In the first clash between the two teams, coach Klamovsky signaled the importance of local players when he fielded 7 homegrown footballers in the starting 11. Malaysia, ranked 131st in the world, gave an early warning to the visitors when the latest new naturalized player, Gabriel Palmero's shot from outside the penalty area hit the post in the 7th minute. However, it was Cape Verde who were first in front through Cabral, who cleverly beat Daniel Ting and fired a powerful shot from close range a minute later. Cape Verde then continued to dominate the game and launched a wave of attacks through a series of powerful shots. Harimau Malaya finally heaved a sigh of relief when substitute Paulo Josu equalized in the 79th minute after he calmly finished off a pass from Quentin Cheng.
Three national doubles shuttlers advanced to the quarterfinals of the Singapore Open 2025. Masters Malaysia champions Man Wei Chong T Kai Wun continued their winning momentum when they brushed off the pair from China, Huang Di, Liu Yang.
It took them only 34 minutes to end the match with a straight set win of 21-16, 21-16. Meanwhile, the Seoul national women's pair, Pearly Tan and Tina, also booked a spot in the quarterfinals after their easy win against Japanese pair Yuki Fukushima, Mayu Matsumoto. Now, the pair is currently ranked at number 4 in the world ranking and will next take on China pair Jia Yifan, Zhang Shuxian. In the same development, Aaron Chia So Woo Yik put on a spectacular performance when they put Japanese pair Takuro Hoki, Yugo Kobayashi out of the tournament. The world number 3 pair recorded a win following a tiebreaker set with a 21-18, 24-26, 21-12 before they could put a stamp on the quarterfinals tickets. They will next take on compatriots Wei Chong Kai Wun, repeat on the Malaysia Masters final recently. Meanwhile, the national men's singles player Leong Jun Hao also moved into the quarterfinals of the Open after pulling off a pleasant upset by defeating world number 5 Jonathan Christie from Indonesia. Jun Hao reported to be unwell before going into the match, however, won 21-16, 21-19 in straight sets after 53 minutes at the Singapore Indoor Stadium. Jun Hao will face world number 2 Kunlavut Vitsaran from Thailand today for a semi-final spot.
And on to tennis, 3-time champion Novak Djokovic battled past Frenchman Corentin Moutet 6-3, 6-2, 7-6 in a match that lasted more than 3 hours on Thursday to reach the French Open third round and stay on track for a record-breaking 25th career Grand Slam title. Now the Serb will next play Austrian qualifier Filip Misolic as he edges closer to a possible quarterfinal clash with Alexander Zverev.
A blister on his left foot. The Serb was at times troubled by the southpaw who slid, lunged and chased down every ball he could in his trademark style to try and stay in the game as the sold-out home crowd in court Philippe Chautier fired him on. Moutet, ranked 73rd in the world, earned a set point in the third at 6-5, but Djokovic held firm and forced the tiebreak. Just when Moutet threatened to prolong the match, Djokovic clicked back into gear to improve to 12-love against Frenchman at Roland Garros.
And in another match, world number 1 Yannick Sinner sent Frenchman Richard Gasquet into retirement with a 6-3, 6-love, 6-4 hammering in the battle of generations to ease into the third round. Now, it was the second time in as many years in Paris that the 23-year-old beat local hero Gasquet, who said that he would end his career that started over 2 decades ago and yielded 16 tour-level singles titles after his home Grand Slam.
Sinner had no trouble in seeing off the 38-year-old Gasquet, playing at the tournament for the 22nd and final time, 6-3, 6-love, 6-4 in Carlos Alcaraz. He was in fine form against Gasquet, saving 3 breakpoints to serve out his first set before dominating the rest of the match on court Philippe Cartier.
And on to cycling. Nico Denz won stage 18 of the Giro d'Italia on Thursday as the German rider rode solo to victory in the final stages of the 144-kilometer ride from Morbegno to Cesano Maderno, while overall leader Isaac Del Toro retained his pink jersey.
In one of the shortest racing stages of this year's Giro, Denz was part of a breakaway group of 11 riders who attacked with 11 kilometers to go on the final flat section of the stage. The 31-year-old outfoxed the group and held a 32-second lead with 5 kilometers left, blowing kisses to the fans lined up along the final stretch and looking back to see no rider behind him. By the time he crossed the finish line with his arms outstretched, he had finished a minute ahead of the chasing pack for the third Giro stage win of his career. Victory allowed the team to salvage something from this year's Giro as they celebrated a first stage win after they had seen pre-race favourite Primož Roglič abandon the race on Tuesday following a crash on stage 16. Del Toro retained a 41-second lead over Richard Carapaz and Simon Yates 51 seconds behind with 3 stages to go. Now the Giro heads into the mountains on Friday with stage 19, 166-kilometer ride from Biella to Champoluch that consists of several climbs and descents.
Super GT 2025 Series dengan 8 siaran langsung perlumbaan. Pusingan 1, 13 April dibawakan dari Litar Okayama International Circuit. Pusingan 2, 4 Mei dibawakan dari Litar Fuji Speedway. Pusingan 3, 28 Jun dibawakan dari Litar Sepang. Pusingan 4, 3 Ogos. Pusingan 5, 24 Ogos dibawakan dari Litar Fuji Speedway. Pusingan 6, 21 September dibawakan dari Litar Sportsland Sugo. Pusingan 7, 19 Oktober dibawakan dari Litar Autopolis. Dan pusingan 8, 2 November dibawakan dari Litar Mobility Resort Montegi di saluran sukan RTM. Juga secara penstreaman langsung di RTM Click.
And with that, we reach the end of our bulletin. Now, top story today, Thailand, Cambodia to resolve a border dispute via JBC. Do join us again tonight at 8:30 p.m. for more news on TV1 and Saluran Berita RTM, or you can stream us live on RTM Click's website and mobile app. Now, we leave you with a video showing immersive amplified exhibition in New York, which aims to recreate a live rock concert experience. Till then, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. I'm Mohana Priya. Thank you for your company.